often when we try and explain things to children, we can get caught up in, and this is from direct experience of reflecting on myself. This is one of the things I'm having a shift in, is that we can kind of approach from our adult world and from our adult understanding. And sometimes that can mean we use language that isn't relevant to them, that has no context for them, that they can't connect with. So how can you use language? Like, how do you talk about, say you're supporting, and it's if they've asked a question. We don't necessarily need to support them to process the coronavirus directives unless they're asking a question about something. Why are people wearing masks, or why can't we go to the park when playgrounds were closed around Melbourne not that long ago? And if you're going to refer to the coronavirus, like, how do you talk about sickness in their family? What's their understanding of sickness? What do they use for that? What's their term for sickness? Is it yucky? You know, if they're a 2-year-old, maybe it's feeling yucky. It's like, oh, people are feeling yucky, so, you know, we're not going to playground right now so that we can look after each other. So use their language in a way that's in their world and the way they understand. This is really key. Answer their direct question and nothing more. And this applies to anything that's kind of a tricky topic to navigate. So this is, like, the current situation is a tricky topic to navigate. Sex and how children are created can be a tricky topic to navigate. Death, you know, and animals and people passing away. When these questions start to come up, it's really important that we stick to their direct question. So the question that the child is asking is all the information we need to have an understanding of what they're ready to process. So again, in our adult world we get really good at over delivering in the way we do everything, and we can over answer their questions around these really sensitive, tricky topics, and it can be more than what they're ready to process. So I have another beautiful story where I used to run a nanny share at my house, and one day just one of the children had showed up, and we're sitting there on the lounge room floor having our picnic lunch, and one of my cats appears at the cat door with a mouse in his mouth. And this child who was in my care, she was 3 at the time, and, you know, we're sitting there eating our lunch, and she kind of looks, because I couldn't quite see Corey, my cat, I could just see her, and she's kind of going, and I looked, and she said, "Why does Corey have a mouse in his mouth?" And which is, you know, strange thing to see, because they didn't have pets. It wasn't a concept she'd come across yet. And I just said, "Oh, Corey thinks that the mouse is his lunch. That's why it's in his mouth." And I didn't go into, you know, I didn't talk about death. I didn't go into hunting. I didn't go into any of that because she hadn't asked me that. I literally stuck to her question. But I also didn't distract her to move on to something else to kind of, because I was feeling uncomfortable. I allowed space after answering her direct question. I allowed space for her to process what I'd said, which also allows space for another question to arise if they need to process a little bit more or a little bit deeper. So really being guided by their questions and responding directly to what they ask without giving too much information. So she didn't ask any more questions, so I just left it at that, because that was obviously enough for her to process. She didn't need to know anymore. Affirm that they are safe So there's a lot of talk of fear, you know, in the collective at the moment, and a lot of the language that we are using in the media, even amongst ourselves, sometimes I've noticed a lot of the language is very fear-laden and quite fear-driven, and they're feeling it. If we're feeling it, they're feeling it. And I've noticed, you know, my nieces and nephews and my clients and families that I'm still working with here and there, you know, as a nanny, is they're definitely feeling it, and they're definitely trying to process this kind of, it's almost like a new language because it's at a level it's never really been before, right? These fear terms that are coming through the media and the conversations we're having with one another. And whether we're conscious of it or not, they're feeling it. So it's important, first of all, to allow space for them to feel what they're feeling, and invite them to allow their body to do what it needs to do in order to move through and release the fear, and then affirm that they're safe. Like, look around right now. You know, I can hear the birds in my backyard. You know, my cats are sleeping over there on the couch. It's been a beautiful sunny day. Like, right now, I am safe. Right now, you are safe. You know, look around us. So really affirming that right now in this moment, we're safe. And lastly, model by the way you process it yourself. So what is your support network that you've built around you in order to process what you need during this time? So what are your outlets for your fear and confusion? Do you have a trusted adult that you can talk to who can just simply listen and allow space for you so that you can allow space for your children, right? Do you allow the fear or other emotions to move through your body when they arise? So really tuning into your tools and strategies and expanding on that, doubling down on that for yourself, so that they're able to learn by how you're processing it as well.